Right, of course, because you guys are, very intelligent hackers.
Because we went on vacation.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
You did.
And it was lovely.
Yeah.
Rejuvenating, if you will.
It's good. I love hearing about your guys' vacation. How are we starting this?
We can say something about life.
Yeah, and then we'll say that
Honestly, say
What?
Oh,
No
I was gonna
way.
say you may be reimbursed for
Yep.
Yep, that's the one. This is what we're gonna use.
You're switching the th and the z.
mesothelioma.
Okay, close.
Nope, I'm done.
Honestly,
A foon and a sport.
same. Honestly, same.
Ooh, honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly,
Honestly,
same.
same. Honestly,
Honestly, same. Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Honestly, same.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the
Welcome.
show. I'm Ross.
I'm Leah.
I'm Brittany.
And
if
that's how we're doing
you
that now.
Or any of your loved
Yeah.
ones are being
Have
affected.
ever listened to the show?
Ever listen to this show or have mesothelioma
Thank
or
you.
mesothelioma, either of them,
Never had a hard time saying that word in my life.
if you have mesothelioma, you might struggle with your perspective on life. And
It is a
that's
side
what we're going to
effect.
talk about today. Side effects of mesothelioma include having your view of how life feels to you being a little bit skewed. Guys, what if we talked about that?
Okay.
We have done all this work to fight against mesothelioma. Now I think,
it's time to tackle a not positive mindset.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we
I think
could do that. So that's what we're talking about in this episode. A very cliche podcast topic, realistically, but one that is brought up in probably in some shape or form every episode that we've done, every episode of nearly anything that probably anybody else has done in podcast form. You always end up talking about like how do you look at life and how and all this sort of stuff. So it's been talked about 1,000 times, folks. We're not doing anything new. We know that, but we are doctors, and our opinions on this stuff are
The most
The
important.
world needs them.
way more important than anyone else's. So
Yeah.
we're gonna kind of dive into, and I'm gonna try really hard to not just make this sound like a What You Don't Hear episode. So I would love to speak the least if that's possible.
You want to just
because
shut the fuck up so that we can.
I
so that
would
we
Yeah,
can
why'd you
move
pick the
forward
middle
with
seat for this one,
I
dummy?
would like.
I said dummy.
Look,
That
Leah
was
even
nice.
gasped.
I didn't know why we were. I just
Oh.
was like.
Oh no, I wasn't.
I didn't want to feel left out.
But yeah, so we're gonna kind of dive into, because it ultimately is an important thing that I think is super, super easy to overlook, is that like how you view life, how you like what your outlook is, what your mindset is, realistically does play a larger part into a lot of things than maybe what we think.
Yeah.
Because when bad things are happening or shitty things are happening or whatever, it's very easy to be like, everything sucks, life sucks, nothing works out for me. And it's like, I will be honest and say, well, if that is your outlook and continuously how you look at things, then yeah, that's probably how everything's going to feel.
Remember
would
how he
also-
wasn't supposed to talk?
Yeah, what the hell,
I'm
Ross?
laying it out. I'm setting the table because I'm sitting at the head of the table.
Yeah. He thinks he runs this podcast or something. I would also combat that a little and say that I've been in positions to feel all of those things, but it's what you're going to do with it versus like,
Yes. And first and foremost, the fact that like feel your feelings. It's okay to like
100%.
feel bad and like it's okay to not be okay. But where you go from there, like you can sit in your moment for a moment. You know what I mean? Take that moment and absorb it and feel it. And then at some point though, you have to know when it's best to move on from that moment.
whether it's asking for help or
Right. If you can't get up out of that, like, let's say you hit rock bottom. If you can't, like, crawl out of that ditch on your own, you have to know when it's like, okay, this is the time when I ask for help, or, like, this is me realizing I'm not okay and I need to stand up and, like, take, you know, the steps forward to start getting myself out of this situation.
Because I feel like we should also preface all of this conversation too, with like none of what we're going to explain is just wake up one day and pretend things are fine.
No.
Because I do think a lot of people hear something like, oh, mindset or like your viewpoint on life and all this sort of stuff, and they immediately go to, it's not that fucking easy. I can't just wake up one day and
absolutely.
pretend that things aren't, like things are fine. And it's like, it's not about pretending at all. It's about accepting all of it. And just like Leah was saying, it's like, take whatever amount of time you need to grieve and and all this sort of stuff, but at some point you do have it in you to be able to start shifting that perspective a little bit.
It's a shift versus like, hey, you're doing something wrong and change. Because I think a lot of people get so hung up on that, thinking that you're telling them immediately that they're doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong if you're in a hard spot. It's just,
it's possible for you.
Yes, you can shift perspective or make a different decision to help you get onto like a new path. Hello? Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Because I would also make the argument that technically that's kind of why this podcast exists.
Yeah.
Because those were the conversations that I was having, that we were having together of, we're all kind of feeling weird in life and this is really difficult. And at that point in time, especially
You were feeling weird in
me,
life.
yeah.
Speak for yourself.
I've been fine.
Ross is like, we were all at rock bottom, right?
I've been fine my entire life.
We've never once had a conversation about difficult things ever. I've been fine.
I've been fine.
Talk about my life perspective. It's perfect. My life is amazing.
My life is
But
wonderful.
It's like in that moment, I didn't know what to do. And again, we've talked about this already, but just to rehash a little, it's like I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel like I knew how to get myself out of a funk at all. Like if you want to talk about a depressive funk, that was the thing where every day I was like, I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but I have no fucking clue which direction to walk in this tunnel. And I have no even glimpse of the light. It's out there somewhere, but I have no idea where to go.
Yeah.
So one of those steps of action that I can take is, okay, well, I can't be alone in this process.
Yeah.
I need to express this to somebody else. I need to hear someone else's thoughts and opinions and advice and just even support of letting somebody hear me out at that point in time. So yeah, I wasn't just waking up one day and like, you know, I listened to that podcast and it fucking told me to fucking think positively. So my life's different now. It's like, and I do kind of think that there's sometimes, because it is a difficult subject, I do think there is kind of a problem of, like you were saying, Brittany, it's never, like, it's easy to feel attacked when someone is like, hey, like, I believe in you. Like, you can figure this out. Well, it's not that easy. Absolutely. Correct. It is not that easy.
No one said it would be easy,
No
but
one's
it is,
saying
it
it's
is
easy.
necessary.
Yes. At some point, you have to take some action.
And usually someone's saying it because they love you and they either want to help. Sometimes maybe it could be like, yeah, you're saying that, but like, what are you doing to like, you know, help?
Yes.
But usually it's like, hey, someone's acknowledging this thing that they don't know if you've acknowledged and telling you something that they think that you need to hear. And I think that if I may, I think it just really depends on the person. But I feel like you said, that we can just, I don't know. I feel like for me that we've talked about this topic so much, but I've been on the other side where I don't want to hear. Like if I'm in the tunnel, I am just sitting in the tunnel. Even if I can see the light sometimes, I'm like just sitting in the tunnel. And even if I don't want to hear those things and I'm going to be frustrated and it's going to feel like an attack, it's still something that inevitably I'm going to have to pull out of my back pocket.
Yeah.
Like at some point, if I'm going to get out of the tunnel, I'm going to have to be like, yep, you know, it sucked to hear. And it may not have been true for me at the time. I didn't want to accept whatever help or advice, but eventually that's like what you're going to have to utilize anyway.
And I think the other idea too of like shifting your perspective on life or having a positive mindset or whatever like buzzword someone can use for it, like it doesn't mean that you stop feeling feelings.
Yeah.
No.
Like there's still like, I could sit here on this podcast and be like, yeah, like life perspective is really important. And I try to like make that one of my number one priorities. And I still have many days where I wake up and I'm like, dude, fuck, I do not fucking feel good. This all sucks.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just magically, there is no magic switch.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like,
I feel like I keep talking the perspective of like the person that it's hard to hear these things.
which is good.
Yeah,
though.
probably. But with the switch, oh fuck, what was I going to say?
Like the switch, they're not being a switch. They're not being a magic switch of just being able to snap your fingers and be like,
I remember. That I feel like if I flip the switch and everyone sees me flip the switch, they go, great, like you did it. And then they step back and like assume that I'm healed. And then I feel all of this invisible pain that no one's acknowledging because I've like, so it's like a part of me wants to stay like, hey, everyone, if you care about me, needs to like acknowledge this pain, even if I'm working at my way out of it. Because if you expect so much from this person that's like completely like able-bodied and able-minded, but I'm still like slightly down here, like I'm almost too afraid to overshoot getting out of the tunnel and then you being like, you're on your own, kid, you did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like you're gonna like once you start the journey, you're gonna be alone in that journey.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, she's got it. And I'm like, no, the fuck I don't. You told me to get out of the tunnel. Now I'm fighting dragons. And you're like, go, Brittany.
But do you think the actual supportive people though would be, you know what I mean?
And that's my main thing is like,
it's almost
the
like
support doesn't end at like even when they're out of the tunnel.
Yeah. But that is almost like one of those like irrational fears of like I'm going to be going through this alone. One of the things that I think we talked about like initially like at the start of all of this that started this entire thing is that it feels like a fog that you're in. Like we talk about tunnel, we talk about, you know, seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, but when you're in a place where you don't know where you are, which direction to go, I referred to it as a fog because and I think the best way that I can kind of break it down is like, if you're in a fog, you just have to walk any direction. If you're standing still, you are not making any progress. Mm-hmm. So even if it's something as simple as like, there are days where I can't get out of bed, let's say. Even if it's as simple as me being able to like get out of bed, make the bed, eat something that day. Like it's little tiny wins throughout the day on those really hard days that like those are your steps to get closer to like getting out of that fog. Because if you're not taking steps, then you are sitting in that darkness, in that tunnel, just going, well, I'm stuck here and I'm doing this by myself. Whereas, you know, if you're at least like, okay, I have these feelings and I'm feeling really stuck. I have to do something to at least not be sitting still, I guess. I don't think that like a lot of people who, you know, struggle with anxiety, depression, things like that, or I guess I should say most people that struggle with those can relate to like feeling so stuck that you almost feel like petrified in that moment of like, no, I can't make steps and I can't do that. And that's like precisely the thing that you have to be trying to fight, which is what makes it so hard, which is why people say stuff like, well, it's not that easy to just get out of bed when I can't, because I've been there. Yeah. It's about being able to come to a place in your mind where you realize it's necessary enough that you have to try.
And even if you don't want to try, like even whether it's like necessary or anything, it's still going to feel better if you can like fight through and get it done. I've definitely learned that like you don't want to do something, you don't want to make your bed. It sucks, but it takes 3 minutes. Once you're finally done, you're like, I'm so happy I did that thing. Yeah. And that's all it really takes, but it's really hard to see what's on the other side until you are on the other side.
Right, exactly. Because things that seem so trivial and simple, like everyday tasks, like when you're in that mode, it's really, really difficult. And so, yeah, it's no one's saying that it's not difficult. It's just worth the difficult thing.
Yeah, that I think is the biggest part. It's like in, you know, when I've experienced it in the past in conversations with people who kind of like maybe have a little bit of that fixed mindset of like, this is where I am, this is the circumstances that I'm within, this is just how it's going to be forever. And it's like, I'm sure you said that about something 5 years ago, and that's probably not the case now, right? Everything changes. But I think that is the thing, is like, no one is ever saying something is not hard.
Of course.
But the challenge of taking a step, doing something different does feel so scary that it's easy to immediately take it as, you're saying it's not hard. No. I'm actually saying it's super fucking difficult. But I'm also saying you can do it. And I think it's sometimes hard for people to accept the idea of I can do a challenging thing, because ultimately the really challenging thing is really hard, and we kind of don't want to do the hard thing sometimes.
Of course.
And I don't mean that for that to sound harsh at all. Like, I've been there, I've done that, absolutely.
No, but human nature is to find, like, we as a species have done things to make our lives easier. If you think about, we used to go out and fucking hunt, and now we have grocery stores, and we literally walk down an aisle and we get our food because that's what we have, like, conditioned ourselves so that we can do that. So we are constantly like, if there were a weight loss pill, a magic weight loss pill, you know, that it would be like the highest selling thing in the world. Like, people don't want to do work because we have become like humans in general have just become like used to not having to work for things. And so if I can like find like if I could make money sitting at home on my couch like doing nothing, of course I fucking would.
Amazing, yeah.
Like if I could lose weight by sitting on my couch eating chips,
Right.
of course I would. Like if I could get smarter by sitting on my couch and doing nothing, it's all revolves around my couch really.
Yeah, you really like this couch.
I would do that because we all would. You know, if it were easy, everyone would do it. And that's why that saying exists, is because if it were easy enough to do anything, then anybody would just do whatever they wanted all the time.
Yeah.
But it's putting in the work, because that's what mental health is about. And is another controversial topic about like just making those changes is I know a lot of people who know that they have issues, even when they're in a good place and they're aware like that they have these issues. And maybe, you know, they know, hey, you know, I'm in a good place right now, but later I might not be. And, you know, those are the type of people where if they had medication to help them, for example, and not everybody needs medication and not every like type of mental illness requires medication, but there are people who are afraid to take that step because then they think, oh, I'm relying on something, or I don't want to be that person that has to take something or
but
whatever.
like imagine being a diabetic and eating insulin and being like, "Ugh, I don't want to start insulin, then I'm on insulin forever. It's like, it keeps you alive.
I have to give myself a shot. Like, yeah, if you want to live, like you do. And so it's crazy that, you know, the brain is an organ, and just like the rest of the organs in the body, like sometimes it needs medicine in order to work properly. And I think that there's this big stigma still with mental health. I think we've gotten to a place where it's a little bit better. But there's this stigma about just in general, like being medicated or having
I'm medicated.
mental.
Anyone that's listening,
There you go. Perfect
breaking
example.
the stigma. And my husband and my mother and my brother and my father and my little sister.
And you know what? It helps you function, right?
Yeah.
It's been helpful, I'm sure. And some people have journeys where it's like, hey, this one kind of fucked me up.
Oh yeah,
You
it's
know?
definitely, I mean, it's not like a perfect science, but it's definitely like it's there as something that can help you the same way
Right.
that insulin is there to help people.
Well, that's the other interesting thing too, is like there's several different results. Like I've talked to plenty of friends who have like got on some medication and they've shared the whole like, yeah, I had to try 5 different things
I've been on 3.
before I found the thing that worked for me. I think like taking the action in different ways in life also, it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It's like,
agree.
oh, I tried that one thing. Like
Because
you
we're
don't,
all so different.
yes,
Yeah.
it's like there is no one size fits all mental health thing
Yeah.
for anybody.
And going
Like,
through that journey of trying all those different things is, again, really hard. Because
And
imagine
good
like,
work too, though. Like you,
Yeah.
When I took my first one and it didn't work, I wasn't like, oh, this isn't for me. I was like, okay, I tried that step. What's the next step?
yeah,
and that's the thing, is like you could have taken one and been like, I'm unfixable.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just fucked. And it's like, no, like when we have something like a medication that is like a tangible thing that we're taking, it's easier to be like, that one didn't work, on to the
Yeah.
next one. Or if we have a physical broken bone or something's wrong in our body, we can identify it as like, there is something wrong there. I need to do these things to solve it. When it comes to something like mental health or whatever it is, you can't really see it. You just feel it. And you're the only one that feels
Yeah.
exactly how you feel.
Right.
So then it's like you've got this whole smorgasbord of, you know, all these different options and all these different things. It's like each of them can work in different ways, but it's also even your perspective on approaching those things. Because imagine if you were trying a new medication and you're supposed to take it, I don't know, once a day, twice a day, whatever, and you take it once every couple days.
Yeah. And I will have that and I'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I've not. And then I realize I haven't taken my medication in 4 days. And I was the first, like, it took me like 3 years to fully get to where I am now. But I was very laissez-faire of like, I'll take it one day and then I'll forget a couple days. And then I will be in a maddening depressive episode because I've fucked up my medicine. And I'll think that I'm just not fixable because
Right.
it's not working right now.
But it's like the difficulty of like, I need to create a routine for myself to
Yep.
make sure I'm taking these medications. Or if you are tending to a wound or whatever, if we do want to make it physical, it's like, okay, if you're not following the steps that you're supposed to do,
Yeah.
it's like you don't
Well,
brush your teeth, they're gonna fucking rot out.
The hard
It's like,
part, though, is that the part of your body that you use to problem solve is the part that's sick. You know what I mean? So you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm having like, this is the worst time I've ever had. And I feel so horrible and awful. And I don't know how to fix it, because your brain is the thing you need to use in order to fix it. But your brain is so busy being, in that manic or depressive or whatever, like episode that you could be having. And it's like, nope, I'm just stuck here because my brain's here with me. And it's hard to sometimes almost take the side of your brain that you use for problem solving away from the equation and be like, okay, but where do I go from here? And make it into something where it can be like fixed, or even a productive thing of like, hey, like, you learned after that, like, well, now I'm not going to skip my stuff, or I'm going to set a timer now.
Except
because
when I show up here and I say, I didn't take my medication today, so sorry for how I act. But I did take my medication today. I also started journaling at the beginning of the year, and I haven't missed a day. It's the 7th day, but I never do anything more than like 3 times before I decide.
I love that.
That's
that is super fun.
But
that is the thing, is like, there's not one same solution. What works for you would not work for me the exact same way, or work for Leah the exact same way. Like, there is not a blanket statement on mental health or well-being or whatever that can be made. There is just a bunch of different things that are all true for different people.
Yeah. You have to, it's so personalized, and no one can do anything for you other than like validate your feelings and help you like navigate options. No one can like make that plan for you or anything like that, or hold you accountable. Like, again, I was given different medications, and it was up to me to take it, log my reactions, my feelings, all of that stuff. It's a lot of like, for people that need it, like a little bit of hand holding from their loved ones. During the steps. I think a lot of the times people want to give the advice and then like hope someone takes it. But if you actually want to implement any change, I use Zach or like my mom to hold me accountable and like asking if I'm doing certain things, or sometimes just getting the validation about doing it.
And that's the thing, is that when you have these like things that like, I don't know, are ailing you in some way, shape, or form, those are the people that want to help you in some way. You know what I mean? It's your husband, it's your mom, it's your sister, it's your cousin, it's whoever, your best friend that you're close with that is willing to like be there and help you. The people that are sitting there saying, I hate seeing you like this, I want to be able to do something to help you. Those are the people who can be like someone that can hold you accountable, because they're looking for ways to help you. And sometimes it's hard to ask for help, just like it's hard to get yourself help. But I mean, if somebody's sitting there saying, I want to be there for you, I mean, let them be there for you.
I also think it's important to say that none of this, life perspective, mindset shift, all this sort of stuff, like none of it fixes anything. I think it's more about learning how to maintain.
I was going to say,
yes,
it's
because it's not
living with who you are. Living with yourself.
And because that's, for me, it's like any, I'm usually always the one that spouts all the like, oh yeah, like fucking positive mindset, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I say that not because I'm like, oh, it's fucking genius, it's the quick fix. I'm saying that because, hey, these things work for me to maintain my mood, to maintain my whatever. It's not, I started going to the gym one day and I've never been depressed a day since. No, there have been days where I've skipped the gym because I'm like, I don't want to leave my apartment because, those chemicals in my brain right now are really fucking with me. It's more about like the tiny actions that we can take that compound over time. It's not, again, we've already said this, but like, I'm going to keep saying this because I know people always take this the wrong way. It's not a quick fix.
No.
And it's not
even a fix.
It's not a fix at all. It is, these are things,
it's the adaptability
that you can keep maintenance on yourself.
Well, just like you, let's say, take a medication every day for, an issue you might have every day. Like, maybe you also need to go to the gym. Maybe you need to just take like a mental health walk. Maybe you need to journal about how you feel. Maybe you need to just like do something every day that keeps you like in check with yourself. And it's not something that, like you said, is going to fix anything, but it's something that's going to, in the long run, help you understand yourself better and your brain better. And it's going to help you to know, like, oh, this, like, if I'm having this issue, this is something that I can do. Because giving yourself tools is one of the most important things that you can do in mental health.
Tools make the world go round.
Exactly. And I feel like as humans, like, again, one of the biggest things that we do is try to make things easier for ourselves. So if you can find something that's like, hey, going to the gym like gives me a boost in a way that it makes, you know, me feel more confident, and then I'm not sitting there thinking bad things about myself all the time. It's as simple as being like, drinking enough water. It makes me know that I'm hydrated enough and that I feel like I'm at least like doing something to like take care of my body for the day. Even if I haven't done all of the other necessary things like eating healthy or whatever, I feel like I am doing something. Like this is my tiny little anchor that's keeping, you know what I mean?
It's something, and something counts.
Exactly. Yes. Doing anything productive counts.
Yeah. And that's the whole like perspectives thing in general. Is like, if I were sitting and I was like, well, this difficult thing is happening right now, that means I suck and my entire rest of my life sucks. When you can learn to like try and shift that a little bit of like, today sucks, but tomorrow doesn't have to.
Yeah.
This week sucked, but next week doesn't have to suck. And it's like, and again, that's not, I'm going to get rid of my mental illness. That is, what are tiny actions that I can take that will gradually build up over time? Because again, like just because you have a bad day does not mean you have a bad life. Like that's the thing that's tossed around the internet all the time, right? It's like, and that's true. Like,
and I do think that in general, like if you think about, not even thinking about just mental health as a whole, but like in general, like your perspective on life, because that's what this episode's about, right? So
yes.
I'm like, I feel like we've trailed off a little bit, but still in the bubble. But I do think that as far as perspectives go in general, like being able to say, oh, this situation sucked, but I can learn from it is another big thing. Because, you know, as far as like just day-to-day things, like, okay, let's say you get a flat tire or something, you know, and you're like, well, shit, this sucked. But, you know, maybe then you're like, you know what? There's been this other noise my car's been making this whole time. I should probably just go get it checked out, blah, 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 whatever. Like there's little things that come from like shitty situations where like you have to address shitty things anyways. You might as well try to make something out of it.
That's one of my biggest things is like life by default is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So why would I do things to make it harder for myself?
Yeah.
That is always a thing that I like lean on for me individually, at least, is like life's super hard. It doesn't mean I'm going to wake up one day and change my perspective and then be like, life isn't difficult. Nope. I have, most likely all of us in this room have yet, and probably people listening, we have yet to experience some of the worst days of our life. Most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely.
I hope I've gone through some shit, so I really
Same.
hope that
I would love to not go further than what I have. But the odds are in favor of there's going to be terrible things that we still have yet to experience.
Yeah.
Even though we've experienced terrible things. So
See, why do you want me to leave my house, Ross?
We're not saying this is Final Destination here. But it's like, that's just the facts, right? There's going to be difficult things, whether it's world-changingly difficult or annoyingly difficult, like my tire goes flat, or this client didn't pay, or I got sick for a month, whatever. It can be anything, right? Yeah. But it's like those things are going to happen. We're going to have annoying interactions with people. Someone is going to be really shitty to us. We're going to have to fix a weird friendship. We're going to have to find a new job after we get fired. We're going to, like, all of those things are very likely to just naturally happen because life is super difficult. So as much as from the perspective standpoint and taking action, all this sort of stuff, I sit in the place of, all right, this is really fucking hard no matter what. Is there anything tiny that I can do to make it less difficult for me?
Yeah.
Right now, in the future, in the moment, whatever it is. Like, so I feel like that's what I often lean to when it comes to like the life perspective thing. It's like, all right, can I remind myself, like, am I making this harder for myself? Am I making this more difficult? Am I making, like, it's already hard. We can acknowledge that.
Do you guys have things like grounding techniques for yourself as far as like things that help you to keep a positive perspective when you're in a shitty situation?
Yes.
Go.
Yes, I do. My main thing is because someone could like flip me off in the car and it's going to ruin my day and it's going to like upset me like internally, or something horrible could happen to like someone in my family or something. And my reaction's always like, whatever this is, even the most horrible thing, it is temporary. How I feel in this moment, I will not feel it might take a month to not feel how I feel right now, but it's not forever. And then I go back to like all of the other terrible things that have happened and how I don't feel those emotions for those things anymore. And it's just literally being like, this is temporary. I say that to people when they come to me with like really hard things. It is. Everything is temporary. Your feelings on it might take forever to like get through, but just acknowledging like you can
will
sit
get
in that,
through them.
but you don't. You will not have to sit in this forever.
That's the most healthy thing I think I've ever heard.
It is temporary. Everything.
Yeah. Everything is temporary. We're all just floating on a rock, you know?
And that's a hard thing, you know, because like people do hear that and they're like, my fucking mental illness is not temporary. And I'm like, correct. But your perspective and like how that, again, in that moment, it feeling the worst, that is the temporary part.
You being as low as you can be.
That moment
is temporary.
That is a moment in time.
And
you will not feel like
forever.
this forever unless you make a really rash decision to make it a forever thing.
Yes, exactly.
Which I feel like a lot of mental health, like at least from what I've experienced, and of course everybody has a different experience, but a lot of the time it comes in waves. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like you'll have waves of depression where it's like, oh, it's really bad for days at a time, weeks at a time, you know, whatever it might be. But then there are good days. Like I don't feel like anybody's severely depressed 100% of the time. And if you are, those are the people that probably need to make like big life changes, because there are things that you possibly could do, but you might not be doing them. As far as like, okay, do you hate your job? Get a new job. Like, do you hate where you live? Go somewhere else. Like trying to like make yourself, I guess, not happier, but like trying to give yourself an out to be in a position where it could be more like waves versus all the time.
But that's the perspectives thing. It's like if your job sucks and someone can easily be like, well, Leah, I can't just fucking quit my job. Correct. But are there any small things that you could do at your current job that would change how it feels? Well, no, because I fucking hate what I do. Okay. But could you go in more intentionally and start to maybe make it a purpose to have better interactions with all the people you work with? Could you try and create stronger friendships with them? Could you just be nice? Wave, say hi, ask them what they've been up to. Try to do that. And then maybe the experience can subtly change. It's not going to fix the fact that you hate your job. It's not going to change everything in the world. But it's a tiny thing that then can be like, oh, okay, I'm having slightly better reactions.
See, I'm still the person, I'm like, no, just quit the fucking job. Jobs are so temporary. And there are things you can't quit your family. You know, there are things that are difficult to change, but the fact of the matter is that when you are a human being, you have every opportunity to change anything.
It's also your life, and you get to do this once. And even what we're saying right now, we don't have any effect on like what people do when they listen to this, or what they take from this, or how they choose to do it. I think a lot of the people, same with me, is when someone wants to give me advice, it's the whole like, you've never been in my shoes thing.
Of course. And like I said, everybody has a different experience. That's, you know.
And that's why I feel like you said, if people can come to you with like, okay, do you want me to help you work through this? Do you want to make this type of change?
Do you want comfort or solutions?
Yeah.
Because if you want comfort, I can be that person that says, "Oh, baby, come here. I will hold you and make you feel better." If you want solutions, I will tell you. But a lot of times, making those big changes that actually might make the life changes that you need are going to be the most difficult things.
And a lot of the time they're not making the decisions for selfless reasons. Like, if I hate my job, but if I leave it, the whole company goes down. Like, that's a selfless thing that you really have to do the internal work for to like get past, for you to have a more quality life.
Yeah. I guess in that aspect, like we all know, we've had a whole episode about people pleasing. I remember I was working at a job, and I remember thinking, if I ever left, you know, like, what are they going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember my dad saying, because I got a job offer to go somewhere else. And my dad said, ask anyone else that you work with if they got the offer that you got, if they would take it. He's like, ask anybody else. I guarantee you that they would take it. Because what it comes down to is that you've got to do what's right by you. Mm-hmm. And especially if your mental health is suffering to a point where you literally are so just like completely like shattered as a person, and you're like, nope, I'm in the worst state of my life, leave the job, leave the marriage, leave the whatever it is, because you being here is the most important thing to your life. Like literally your existence is the most important thing to you existing. Like, period. It just is.
Yeah. And things like that, like while the emotional impact can be longer lasting, the moment can still be temporary.
Yeah.
Like that is 100% proof of like, I'm
yeah.
at this job, and if I leave, I feel like everything is going to crumble and all this sort of stuff. Most likely
the crumbling is going to have to calm down eventually.
And also us being that most important member of the team for that company,
you might think that in your own head.
that's temporary.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be another most important person who has to fill the schedule and has to take the hours. It's the same thing. Like that is just going to continue to happen. Yes, we bear the weight because in our mind and on our emotions, we're like, oh my God, if I leave, who's going to work all these hours? Even if we can tell ourselves like, me stocking these shelves does not affect my life that heavily, but man, I don't want to let other people down. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
but
of
also,
course not.
there's going to continue to be moments of, am I going to let this person down? Am I going to let this person down? While actively letting yourself down the entire time.
Yep.
By not making small changes or big changes like leaving a job or a relationship or whatever that ultimately do not serve you well over time. Like, again, it all does go back to those, whether if it is a tiny action of like, can I change my perspective of how I'm going into work today?
Yeah.
And at least get me by until I can make the big decision to then be like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, all right, I know I need to, save up money from this job as much as I can for the next 3 months before I leave.
Yes.
You can also sit and say, how can I make these last 3 months at this job the least shitty that they've been in the 4 years I've been here?
Yeah.
Like, that's still possible. So even though you're leaving that situation, you can still leave it on a slightly higher note by taking those small actions to do something about that then can lead to the large decision.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like the light switch thing, even though sometimes I will say it's probably also kind of like Lee was saying, like, it is valuable to just be like, nope, just fucking leave it, quit it, do the thing, like, jump off the cliff, take the leap.
Well, you guys know I'm a cold turkey kind of gal.
Me too.
Like, I can't be that soft out because I will be the person that's like, oh,
I will soft out for 5 fucking years.
You need me to stay until
Yeah.
you find someone else? Like, okay. And
Right.
then, 5 years later, here I am still fucking miserable.
And that's the important thing to learn is like, what does work for you? Because again, we've been saying this
Yes.
entire episode, things that Brittany does, I do, Leah does, whatever, doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else.
Now,
So you have to determine.
Do you have one? Do you have a thing where if you're feeling shitty mindset, shitty perspective, where you're sitting, where you're feeling like just absolute like rock bottom,
Yeah.
what's the thing that you turn to?
One of my initial go-tos, because to no surprise to anyone, every time we have to pick one thing, I'm always like, I have 10 different things. I do for this too, but one of my main things is I literally will force myself, if I'm feeling low energy and depressed and whatever, I will force myself to set up coffee meetings or something with somebody, at least a handful of people in the next like week or two, because I've identified for me, even if I'm feeling super introverted, super low energy, I don't want to leave my house, talk to anybody, I don't feel like I could have a good conversation.
You have to make yourself.
99.9% of the time. I couldn't even tell you a time it didn't work.
Yeah, that would never work for me. I would drop my friends.
For
You need to see me this week? Oh no.
For me, I force
for sure
myself,
works you.
and because I have learned that I'm very like I get
Socially
a lot
driven.
of energy from other people, and so it's
Yes.
like even if the conversation is me telling them, yeah, dude, shit's really hard right now. This is very, very difficult, and I'm fucking going through it. I still got that stuff off my chest. I still spoke it into existence and got it out of my system, and I'm not thinking about it by myself at my house. And also, it doesn't have to be that conversation. If it's just a good, solid conversation, catching up with somebody.
It reminds you that there's
I'm-
other things to think about and that you're not stuck in dwelling on this specific thing that's
Yes.
happening. Yeah.
And just from like a human to human contact point, it's like,
Well, especially for you, you live. What's Daphne doing for you? You know,
Right, yeah.
You need to get out there and like make sure you're having those
yeah,
conversations.
it's like, I'm currently, I live in my apartment by myself. And so it's like, there isn't a roommate to go hang on the couch with and be like, oh shit, let's distract ourselves with some
Yeah.
movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But so for me, it's like, I have learned that even when every fiber of my being in that moment is saying, dude, I don't want to fucking go to this meeting. Every time I do, I leave feeling way better. It does not solve my problems. It does not change everything, but it put more gas in my tank for that day. And I'm like,
But talking to
feeling
people
pretty
can
all
change
right.
your perspective. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Which is such a big thing, is like even having an outside like influence of your mood can influence then your perspective. Because
Yes.
if you're even if you mention like, yeah, I just, I've been having a shitty day, somebody could be like, oh yeah, like my car fell down the stairs, and you could be like damn, at least that wasn't what happened. You know what I mean? Like you might think like,
or
even
the
if
reminder
it's,
of like, oh yeah, we all do have some shit,
Yeah.
don't we?
Exactly.
But again, we're always the most hyper aware of our shit, so
Yes.
it makes all this stuff difficult. But it is that thing of like, oh, you can connect with somebody, you can relate with somebody, you can get some advice from somebody,
Yes.
or just have a fun conversation where it's like, again, that goes to the perspective thing and the taking action thing. Comparatively, I could choose, and if I need to do that to heal, that's okay. But I could choose to sit in my apartment alone all day, never leave, never do anything, skip the gym, skip all this stuff.
but that's not what's going to work for you specifically.
But at the end of the day, I would sit and then I would get the ability to say, see, my life sucks because no one's around me and I'm not cared about and I was alone in my apartment all day. For that day, that is factual. I was in my apartment. But it's not factual that I'm not cared about, no one likes me, blah, 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 because of the same day, via one decision making.
you could have interacted with several people.
Yeah.
I
and-
could
yeah.
have went out, and even if I didn't want to, I could have done that. And by the end of that day, I could be sitting and saying, what a good fucking reminder that I've got some solid friends. That choice that I make dictates how that day then feels. Doesn't change my life, doesn't fix the problems, doesn't fix the depression, none of that.
Right.
But it changes my perspective on that day and maybe ultimately my life at large of being reminded, oh yeah, this is one choice that I could sit and say, no one cares about me, this fucking sucks. Or I could text a friend and say, hey, let's go get lunch, have a fun conversation and be like, damn, I'm feeling pretty good about today. That's
Yeah.
a good reminder that I have people that care about me. That's like the perspective thing and how that relates to taking the small actions of those decisions. Like that is like where that sort of takes shape, because there is that choice sometimes.
Yeah.
There is that choice. Like there
There's
really
always a
is.
choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
It's hard to make a
the
choice
is hard,
sometimes
but-
when you're feeling that way of like, nope, I surely cannot get out of bed today. Like there's always a choice of like, okay, you can force yourself to do something you don't want to do because you're not physically incapable of getting out of bed. It might feel that way part of the time, but like you are physically capable of leaving. It's just the mental block that's keeping you from doing it. So if you're able to somehow be like, for me, a lot of the time, it's like, no, I have to get up because I have to feed these dogs. Like I have to, like there's people that need things from me. So even if I can't do it for me, like I can do it for other people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Or for
And-
other reasons, I guess.
And I'll also add in too, it's like I've done the other thing. I've done this sit in my apartment alone
course.
with no roommate, no relationship, no anything. I have sat and mentally what my brain tells me is you're not wanted, you're not needed, no one cares about you. However, there's also a solid handful of people that I could text and be like, hey, what's up? Can we talk? Can we hang out?
and
whether
they're like,
busy-
sorry, Ross, but we don't want you or
but we
need
don't
you.
want you or need you. And then I'm like, oh, this must be correct. But it's like, it's always the opposite. But in that moment, that's what I'm going to tell myself is
Yeah.
I'm not fucking cared about by a single person on this planet. I have had many days where no one knows that I'm sitting in my apartment and I'm thinking that exact thing.
But what do you think that is like the underlying thing to that specifically? Because my like hard days and like depression and stuff has nothing to do with like how anyone at all perceives me. So I don't like look for like I can't get my validation from like that. So what do you feel like is like causing that specifically for you? Because
that I think it is, and then this is, I will simplify this so we're not making this a 3-hour episode, but like, because there's so many different directions we can go, but I ultimately think it is it's the figurative, like how filled is my cup? Because if I am actively doing many small things that bring me joy or happiness or whatever, whether they involve other people or not, my cup's going to be a little bit more filled. So then I'm going to be feeling a little bit better. And I'm not going to be worrying about, did I have a good conversation with this person? Or can this person hear me out right now? Like, and these are also changes and waves that I have rode and
Yeah.
went through. There have also been many times where I fucking have loved sitting at my house by myself for multiple days on end, just like working on stuff or chilling or whatever, and not having to go out and force myself to be an extrovert because a bunch of small different actions that I have taken to maintain myself. Like, so for me, and maybe that's not answering the question, I don't know, but like for me, it is like those are those internal pieces of work. That it's like, okay, if I am feeling unhappy, what are small things that I can do for myself that don't have to involve anybody else? Is it making my bed? Is it forcing myself to do the laundry?
Yeah, had to utilize like other people to get there, or if you could use busy work, which you just said you could.
It's not always I have to go to somebody. That's why earlier I was like, there's a list of several, but like one of my favorite ones is go to somebody else and talk.
One of the little bars on The Sims is social. I mean, it's very much like a thing. Like we have to be social. And for somebody who like works for himself, like you do a lot of like conversation with what you do and everything. But there are definitely times where if you're editing or if you're, at home, you're pretty much just like hanging out by yourself. And then you're like, oh, my social battery is fully charged and there's nowhere to put it. And then you're sitting there thinking, oh, nobody cares. I kind of
have this energy and I have nowhere to
I don't have an immediate place to put it. And so I think again it's like on that flip side of things, it's like, okay, what are small things that we can try to do that can keep our own, obviously not a social battery, but like our own, again, figurative cup filled a little bit. It doesn't have to be filled to the top and we're fucking having a blast, but it's like I absolutely will lean into those small things of like, you know what, I'm gonna clean up my apartment today. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna finish that laundry. I'm gonna do the dishes. I'm gonna, whatever. I'm gonna just be artsy and fucking work on a random design that ultimately means nothing, but I did it. Like those small things that bring me a little bit of joy and happiness. Those things add. Again, it's all the small things that add up. So 100%, it's not all just if you don't go out and get coffee with somebody, you're doing it wrong. It's like, no, there's absolutely many things that if you can identify, bro, I don't want to go fucking get lunch with somebody and talk for 2 hours. Absolutely not. You don't have to. Slow down a little bit. And I would say
a lot of people that live like on their own that hear that perspective from you though is important.
And I think that's the thing is like whether it is that or whether it is just like slowing down and try to identify make I've heard people say this before and it sounds silly and it sounds so easy to like who cares about that, which ultimately means when you can say something so easy you don't do it. But I think there's value in like writing. I've heard people talk about making a joy list. Make a list that's either in your phone or physically in a journal or notebook that you can refer back to pretty quickly. Make a list of however many things that are like small and simple and whatever that would bring you joy. So it's like in the moment when you're feeling, man, I'm feeling fucking lonely today. I don't want to go anywhere though. Let me check my joy list. Is it go on a walk? Is it for some, for some people it could be I need to do fucking 25 push-ups. I need to eat something good. I need to
learn how to make a grilled cheese.
Or literally, I need to like there have been times where like I've been like, you need to fucking cook something. And even if the meal isn't the most amazing thing or whatever, and I'm not trying to actively like be a cook or something, but I made it, and that's something I did with my day. So at the end of it, it's like, I made this rad dinner. Like, cool, that's dope. I don't want to make dinner for another 3 weeks because fuck that. But this one was dope. And so I think it's like those tiny actions that are so easy to overlook. All of those things build up to way bigger solutions than what we may think that then help us maintain all of these things, that help us kind of like keep ourselves figuratively filled up to then better take on life's next challenge, which is always inevitable, which is right around the corner at all times. The more you have in your tank, the more you're able to kind of like take that issue on when it inevitably pops up.
For me, it's romanticizing every single thing I do because I have to do the dishes every day and cook meals every day. Like all of that stuff, those little things that pre-kids, I'd have to like really work myself up to like, I don't want to fucking cook. I just learned to cook in Winry's 4. I've just been romanticizing them, playing like my audiobooks or my music while I'm doing it. That stuff, like before I would literally be like, okay, I have to go in the kitchen and do kitchen stuff. No, you can listen to a book or listen to your favorite album or do whatever.
How can you make it more fun?
You can dance in the kitchen while you're cooking.
I'm always dancing in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Dancing in the kitchen.
I feel like that's like the best example. Just dancing in the kitchen. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be fucking cooking, but you know what? If
Yeah.
I've got some good music
Oh.
going, I'll be Salt Bae.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
literally.
I will literally be like, and for my next thing that I have to do,
Yeah.
I'm like shimming my bread on my thing.
has a button in an app that's like a crowd applause. Like, all right, guys, we're gonna start the bread now. Wow.
All right, camera rolling. Okay, so,
Yeah. You're holding the olive oil. You're like, I would love to just thank my family.
but my kids are my audience.
Yes,
Yes.
and the best audience to have. But that is literally like I look forward to choosing a podcast to listen to while I'm making food. It
Yeah.
helps me want to cook because otherwise, I don't like cooking.
That's
I really
how I
don't.
got here today. My book, because I am terrified of driving. I hate driving, but I was like, I'm gonna go see my friends, and I need to listen to my book. I need to get my car and drive there.
Leah, you didn't share your kind of like go-to thing
Yeah.
yet.
I also feel like I have a couple, which again, like, it's hard because I feel
That's
like it's
good.
important to have a couple.
Yeah.
Yes.
And something I've mentioned, so I'll just like brush over it. I've mentioned this, I think, in other episodes in the past, but having OCD, a lot of the time, I get intrusive thoughts. And so I tend to kind of go to like, oh, if I do this, then this horrible thing could happen. But what you kind of have to do sometimes is look at that, like that possibility and be like, okay,
The reality.
like, what's the worst thing that could happen? If it does happen, what do you do from there? Like, oh, if this happens, like, or if I'm late, I could lose my job. I feel like that's always just like the example I use. If I'm late, I could lose my job. Okay, you lose your job. And then what? Well, I guess I get another job. Like, I'm not going to be like homeless immediately and like, you know, whatever. And it might give you the opportunity to be like, ooh, maybe I can try something new. I could get a new job and I could, you know, and so it helps you to get out of that like sort of like negative space that you get put in of like, oh, like the anxiety I feel in this
90%
moment.
of the time, the worst thing that comes is not going to come.
Right. Oh, of course. It's not like if I don't flip the switch 12 times, my family's going to die. Like, I know that's not going to happen. My OCD is mild enough that it does not affect my day-to-day life in those ways. It's more of the like, oh, like I have this spoon. What if I just, I don't know, scooped my eye out or something kind of thing. Those are the types of things I know are not actually going to happen. So I don't really have to like dive very far into those situations as far as like, oh, what is the worst that could happen? Well, I wouldn't have a fucking eye. But in just regular situations when I am sitting there and I'm like having like a just shit day or something, it's helpful for me to be like, yeah, okay, like this sucks right now. But you know, like this is happening and that means that later like this will happen because of that. Like what's the domino effect? Like what's the good that will come out of this bad? Like, what's it called? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. One of the things that he talks a lot about is sort of like what we now refer to as like the main character syndrome of feeling like my life sucks because of this moment. And one of the things that I think helps me a lot is to remember like life cannot go one person's way all the time, because like what kind of fucking life would everyone else be living if every light was green when I got to it and everyone else had to wait at a red light whenever I came by? Like there's give and take in the world, and that's just like the nature of being alive. There's going to be bad stuff because good stuff wouldn't be good if we didn't have bad stuff too. So I think like having to remind myself like to basically just to have a better outlook. I have to be like, hey, you know, yeah, this is fucking shitty, but again, it's temporary. It will go away. It's something that could be worse. There are people that are literally living, you know, out in the cold right now. There are people dying in other countries. We won't even get into all of that. But like this first world little problem that I'm experiencing right now is so like a blip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, there's like a million things I'm sure that I could go into. Like I also love cleaning things. I love organizing things. I also love like when I was a kid, I would always take like a little toy with me everywhere. Like I would just have like a tiny little something and I could have it in my pocket. And then if I was just like in like a place, you know, where I was like sitting at the waiting room with, you know, while my mom was like going to the doctor or something. I had to go with her to this appointment. I could just like
You're
sit
adapting.
and have my,
Yeah, you've got
I have
your
my
thing.
little thing that was my special little thing that I brought that I get to like distract myself with, sort of. Like, I think there's little things I can distract myself with in everyday life in general. There's always going to be little things I can look at to bring me back, I think. So I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I have a lot of them, but I think that those are a couple that are just like the main things that I have to try to remind myself.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love those. Well, how do we end this one?
Get a pet
Maybe-
rock.
Get a pet rock.
Pet rock.
Or
Take
get a
it
PhD.
with you everywhere.
So you
Or
can
get a
speak
PhD.
like us. What if there's like one final thing we want to leave people with? Because and I say that because I had one come to mind of like, if you wanted to wrap
Well,
up.
then you
like,
go first.
Yeah.
My thing
Let
would
us
be
think of something. He goes, what do you guys think? Well, I already have mine. You guys have to.
What if we did this because I personally have something I need to say?
that's me presenting an idea saying begin to think about it now. My thing would be, and it's again, we've said so much, so I'm just going to overly simplify this, is that it's difficult, but it's possible.
Yeah.
That is the simplest thing, barring every single side tangent we went on in this and all the caveats and all the buts and all that sort of stuff. Like, at the end of the day, it's difficult, but it's possible. That's my thing.
Mine would be a small step is still a step.
Yep.
That's good.
Mine, because we could combat that like mental illnesses forever.
Of course.
Every situation is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing will ever feel like it does when it feels the worst ever again.
Yes.
Even if you have a worser day, as Ross would say.
And then you can use it later and say, hey, at least it's not as bad as that one time.
Yep.
Yes. I love it. We did it. Well, many things are temporary, much like this episode
And
of
this
Honestly Same.
podcast.
What? What? Huh? Wait, do we need to talk about something?
After vacation, we can circle
Okay,
back.
guys, I cannot wait. Have we bought our tickets for the flight yet?
Yeah, your ticket's secured.
So you did get them. You did get them.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
You're taken care of. Don't
Let
worry
me
about
know. Let me know what to cash app you. I know you're
Okay.
rich from all the movies and everything.
Yeah.
But, yeah, guys, I cannot wait for vacation. I hope that lasts forever.
it. No spoilers.
Vacation, all I ever wanted.
Vacation on Spooky Island.
All right, I'm gonna hit that button. Goodbye.